Give it 8 minutes. And I have seen that in the past.
You guys gotta move her over. She's hanging a foot off this side of the cop. I said, dude, she's hanging a foot off this side. She can still.
Hey, so because I wanted to thank you guys on behalf of CERN for the donation.
We're live.
We are.
That's it. We're talking about it. So we'll just do that for now.
Very first board they put on top of it is so let's go. Because what's good on the password for the other one. We can't use it. So still on the wildfire. If we go with this, I'll transfer it all.
Hey, Grant,
Yes.
are we up?
Yes, we're up. We're on a different webpage, but we're up.
Just make sure you post it.
I will. Once I get it up, we'll get it up.
You have to tell me because what I'll do is I'll change the link on our website. Because I have a link on our webpage to where it is.
After tonight, we should know. After tonight, that was never has that here.
They're not here.
That's all on Endeavor.
There you go, there you go.
They are, okay.
Zero.
Fourth row, left side.
I'll let you know that.
All right, everybody, I got 7 o'clock. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. Welcome to the February 10th, 2020 Board of Directors meeting. Get started here. Announcements, Clear Creek Conservancy. Okay, I think they're off until March. Floyd Township Fire. Jeff.
All right, I got a few things. Saturday, some of you may have seen us, members of our department received training on ice and water rescue service operations. It was both classroom, lecture, and hands-on training in the water. Unfortunately, or fortunately, we didn't have any ice on the lake, but our members were still able to get in the suits and the water to become familiar with the equipment, and it's not that cold in the suits. We did practice some of the skills we learned in class. We had 11 members pass. We had 11 members take the class. So we now have 11 ice and water rescue certified members to serve our community. We're hoping we get some good ice shelves so we can practice here at the lake. Not really. We'll go somewhere else to do that. And the certification is for 3 years. Also happy to announce that the fire department was able to repurpose expired equipment this weekend to the Putnam County CERT team, which we got one right here and another one out there. Firefighter gear, in case nobody knows, expires. It's good for 10 years. Then the NFPA requires you to replace your gear. Some of the gear that we donated has had little or no use at all, but we have to have it. The gear was brought up to our district board to be considered surplus equipment to dispose of as necessary. There's no firefighter value. We can't even donate it to a smaller fire department who doesn't have the money because, again, it's marked as trash. But we can give it to the CERT folks. So we donate it to CERT. It's high visibility coveralls. There's some safety helmets, face masks, rubber boots that are steel-toed with steel shanks, so Chris and Darcy can go walking through nail-filled boards.
Protected this time.
We're glad they'll be able to benefit from the equipment. If you're not familiar with CERT, you can check out ready.gov/CERT for more information. And they're always looking for volunteers to join the ranks. This is something that, this next topic is something, if you have a medical alert button or you use a medical alert company, please confirm and/or update your contact information regularly. We had a couple of calls, like personal phone calls, because some of the folks out here have our phone numbers, and they'll call and say, hey, we hit the button and nobody showed up. Dispatch gets a call from the, and I'm not going to pick on any alert company, so we'll just say the alert company, and they dispatch to us the wrong address to dispatch. Dispatch can't find an address. Then when they call back, this particular one they give us, say, oh, that's out of state. So it's because their information got changed, lost, whatever it was. Fortunately, we were able to get out there and take care of the people. So it just delays the first responders. If you have any doubt at all, please call and get that updated. If you have any doubt at all, call 911. That's going to be as quicker than the call button, especially you don't always have a phone with you. And lastly, the fire department would like to thank Pizza Den and Shannon and Sue Lieb for their donations and help with food to all the first responders who came out on a recent house fire in Gettysburg.
Thank you, Jeff. You guys have been really busy. Thanks for everything you guys are doing for the community. And on behalf of the CERT organization, I thank you too for the donation of that equipment. That's going to come in very handy for our organization, so thank you.
Glad to get rid of it.
Neighborhood Watch, they're absent till March, but I would like to just give a shout out to Land and the Neighborhood Watch group for putting on a great event on Saturday. As far as the chili cook-off went, it was a great turnout. Had a lot of folks that came out and had a good time, just sat around, talked with each other for a few hours, had some chili, and it was just a really nice afternoon. So I appreciate that work that they did to put that together, especially April. All the people that came out and served the chili and the judges and all that. So it was really a good time. I'd also like to thank Neighborhood Watch for the donation of the cameras around the marina to keep track of all of our inventory and our construction equipment that's going to be sitting there for the next couple of months here. So that was a really nice thing for them to do as well, something that coming in handy for us as the marina project progresses. HLCS, Rick Miller.
Hi. I've got a few things for you that I find interesting, so I'm going to share. I hope you do too. Newsletter, of course, was published January 30, and we ran out by February 3rd. And so we've done 2 reprints since then. So obviously demand for the newsletter in print is still very high. We publish online, of course, and it's had 138 views so far this month. And so all in all, newsletter's trending, same read rate as we've seen over the past several months, but it's all good news anyway. For the website, I want to share a few things. On the HLCS website now, you'll find a calendar page there, and it now contains all known meetings for all of Heritage Lake, including all of those that were listed in the annual report booklet, and several others. So that's a really good resource, and it's always current, because repetitive meetings, they show up every month. The weather page, I know everybody gets their weather where they like it, but one of the unique things on that page, I added the lake status. So if there's white or none and yellow or red flags, you'll see them on the weather page. We also turned on just this week blogging, and for those of you non-internet folks, blogging is just an easy way on the internet to write and share articles. Okay? But we turned blogging on because it's a really great tool to capture breaking news or new news with photos and all kinds of fun stuff. We even added a new blogger, Dick Warner signed up so he can do blogging for the government page. So anybody that would like to contribute to any one of the pages on the website, whether it's writing an article about your neighbors, or writing an article about one of the clubs, you're welcome to call me and I'll make you a contributor. It's easy to do, and I'll train you. There's a new events page, spotlighting coming events. The chili cook-off was up for a while, and now it's spotlighting the upcoming annual election, or annual meeting. The Heritage Lake POA page, I took the documents off that were, of course, same documents you find on the Heritage Lake site. But the POA page is still there, and there's a link to the POA website. And anytime POA wants something highlighted or spotlighted on that page, just let me know. It's free space for you. I mentioned Dick Warner contributing to the government page. One of the things I've learned this last few weeks from looking at the analytics that I get about the website and how people use it, they revealed to me that more than, actually 64% of all visitors to the website use some sort of mobile device. And that was a newsflash for me. So what it suggests to me is I need to spend a little more attention on the mobile site to make sure it's user-friendly and appealing, so that people will come back and use it more. But that's happy news. It's just more work. And last but not least, help wanted. I need to find somebody, one or more, in this community willing to work with me and become an associate editor for HLCS, so that I can teach them to do the things that I do. And believe me, they're easier, I wouldn't be doing them. But if I get hit by a truck, I don't want the work that I'm doing to just fall to the floor and die. So I'm looking for help. And if you want it, or you know somebody that wants it, for a young person that might want to learn how to be a web designer, great opportunity, free education and real education. So I'd be happy to work with you. That's all I got.
Thank you very much, Rick. I appreciate the work you're doing. Helnack, got anything, Grant?
Yes, I do. Let's see here. There's nothing to report except for the next meeting is March 9th at 6:30 at the clubhouse. They're accepting candy donations for Easter, and the candy, if it could be small enough that it's individually wrapped and fits in an Easter egg, that's what we're using them for. So, also on Thursday and Friday before the Easter event, which is, let's see here, the Easter event is April 11th, and the Thursday and Friday, the April 9th and 10th, they will be stuffing the eggs. So we're looking for volunteers for that. That's all.
All right, thanks, Grant. We'll have a couple other opportunities to talk about that before those days get much closer, so. POA security.
I want to add something to Grant. I just signed a contract today with Mortonville Fireworks over the weekend, and made contact. Their Hillnack is going to be writing a $6,500 check. Needed to pay 50% of it, so that's all taken care of. So the POA security, Brian Hilmer's out of town doing some training. But there was a couple things that I wanted to bring up. Was that over at the Marina construction site, they've been experiencing a lot of people driving through and checking the situation out. I was viewing some of the pictures taken by the cameras, and we're having people that's crossing past the cones into the construction area, just kind of nosing around with a baby stroller was one of them. People do not need to be inside that construction area. Do not pass those orange cones that are set out. It's fine to look from afar. Just don't get inside. There's too many things that somebody can get into. So And the other thing was, I've been meaning to, say a thank you for quite some time to the residents around here. You know, I know I turn a lot of the policing over to Helmer because it is very difficult to police your own community. But my radar is on all the time when I'm out, and I want to say thank you to the community for really doing a good job with their speed. I know there's gonna be fools that's gonna drive around here 45, 50 mile an hour, and we can't stop that all the time. But I want to tell you, I get up at an hour early every morning, and when the buses are out, and I just drive around. If they're driving a little bit too fast, I hit my lights, but I'll tell you, those speeds are very, very few and far between. I mean, I'm seeing 34, 36, I'm okay with that. I know the speed limit's 30, but I very seldom ever see anybody 39, 40, very, very seldom. So I just want to give a shout out to the people in the community, mainly in the morning, going to work. I just don't see the speed anymore like I used to. That's,
People see you coming a mile away, Ken, they're not gonna speed in front of you.
that radar reaches out.
Drive your
and
Prius around. Thanks, Ken, good news. Anybody from the garden club? Nope, okay. Presentation of agenda. Guys, there was a late addition to the agenda. Under new business, it's gonna be E for credit card fee discussion. Jim's gonna head that discussion, so that's the only change to the agenda. Are there any other corrections or edits? If not, I'll take a motion.
Motion to accept. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Presentation of minutes, January 13th board meeting. Any additions, corrections, or edits? If not, I'll take a motion.
Motion to accept. Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Before we get any further, guys, Paul is not here, but Jim has his proxy, so any votes placed by Jim will count twice. January 13th executive minutes, any additions, corrections? If not, I'll take a motion.
Motion to accept. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. January 26th operations meeting, any additions, corrections, or edits? If not, I'll take a motion.
Motion to accept. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? And finally, January 26th executive meeting, any additions, corrections, or edits? If not, I'll take a motion.
Motion to accept. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thanks, guys. Treasurer's report, Jim Johnson.
Thanks, Chris. There's only one January, and we're in it. And I've said this before, but I want to make sure everybody understands how the process works. The first report that we do is based on an accrual of what we expect our income to be per month, and an accrual of what we expect our expenses to be. It's really meaningless. But it just gives us an idea of what we're planning. What is important is what's coming up next. And that is, by the way, I don't have my glasses, so I'm struggling. Our short-term cash right now, at the end of January, was $224,962. If you go above and you look at, well, you're not seeing it, but the total income for the month allegedly was $86,025. What would you guess, Deborah, it was if you forget anything that we got from assessments?
In January?
Nothing, basically, right? No, we got nothing.
Very little.
We got nothing because there's nothing coming in, okay? But we accrue it as if it did, in terms of a level amount. So what that means is, on our short-term cash of $224.92, next month, when you look at that, that's going to go down because we have staff expenses that are actually being incurred and the other expenses that we have. Also, in our total investments, they're made up of CDs and money markets. We have $776,786, And you can take it to the bank, that one's gonna go down, because we're gonna be having enormous expenditures in the next 75 days on the marina, hundreds of thousands. So that number is gonna go down quite a bit. So there's no reason to be concerned about that. That's all in the plan. But this is the only time we have a January, where you start off at the beginning. And then you're gonna see a slide down, and then our revenues are just gonna skyrocket. They're in the middle of it right now, right?
Yeah.
Because we're in assessments, and then the next gas comes in when the boats come in. So our cash flows are gonna be very, very fine. We're okay. We're not in any kind of cash flow problem at all. The only time we might experience a challenge would be approximately November of this year. But we're gonna be able to manage that because Ken is gonna be managing our expenses like an ogre. The last thing I didn't say is that our total expenses were $37,871, leaving a net income balance of $48,154. Respectfully submitted.
Thank you, Jim.
I think you just called him Ken a name.
An ogre, yeah.
I was gonna use Simon Legree or something like that. That wouldn't go over the younger generation.
Oh, Ken, you've been called worse, right?
Yes, indeed.
Moving right along, board committee reports, A&E, Ben.
Ken Fuchs, 77 Gettysburg. Our January A&E, we did 5 permits for 6 projects. 3 were houses, 2,797 square feet, 1,467 feet, and 1,441 square feet. Also 1 pavilion, 1 dock, and 1 boat lift. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Campground, let me just go over this. Campground cleanup, lake, clean water,
Everybody but
long-term planning, yeah, everybody but government is, everybody's gonna start up in March, so we only got a few more weeks here before all the committees reconvene and start getting busy again, doing the work that they do, so, in the meantime, Dick, you got the floor.
Dick Werner, Jefferson Valley, 183. Government committee report here on the Putnam County Commissioners and Council. Have several items that they forwarded this month. Both entities approved a new local ordinance announcing broadband readiness. What that does is allows the local suppliers to then go to the state to apply for grants that are available for their needs in putting in infrastructure. So that's all ready now, and now it's on Endeavor and the likes to bring it to us. So, somebody posted earlier today, I saw somebody posted a truck, Endeavor truck, just south of the lake here, running cable, so running fiber, which is the high speed. The council voted that Dave Furman remains president and Jill Bridgewater replaces Keith, forget Keith's last name, as vice president. So, same members are on the board, they just jockey the assignments around, I guess, a little bit. Council board member Danny Wallace has been in liaison for Operation Life for the past few years. And it came up at the meeting, well, he will remain their liaison because Operation Life's board is going to remain in place until the end of the year as the agreement of the takeover. Beyond that, the county does not intend to continue with a liaison because none of their other departments have such. That was their reasoning. Airport board has a new appointee by the name of Joe Cooper. Operation Life has been approved to purchase the backup used ambulance for Putnam County EMS from their remaining account balance. So the commissioners didn't have the funds to buy it. There was a truck available from Indianapolis Fire Department, a used truck, so they've gone ahead and sealed the deal for Operation Life to make that purchase and turn it over to the county. I petitioned the commissioners on behalf of Deborah and HLPOA for permission to place a financial responsibility notice in the county offices in an attempt to increase notification to and decrease unpaid PO dues from new HL property owners. The request was denied, as I kind of expected it might be, citing paper clutter and setting a precedent. But they did suggest that I could post it on the courthouse lobby bulletin board, which I did. And they further suggested to seek sales disclosure from the township assessor's office. Seek sales disclosure by township, so that could narrow down the information you're getting possibly.
Can I add to that?
But
just
sure.
a bit? What we're trying to do is all those parties that purchase land by quick claim deed, to get their attention to come in, bring us the deed so we can copy it and put it in the file. That's the ones that we seem to have to track down. So if you do buy another property, maybe next to you, or you bring those deeds in, so we can make a copy, put it in your file, and transfer it legally.
So the quit claim is not going to get reported by the county until that owner goes and registers the property? Is that
Yeah, or if
understand?
they sell it and they don't record it for a while, then. So.
The commissioners approved a motion to move forward with Jared Associates on a county income survey in order to likely qualify the county for a matching grant for a new comprehensive plan. They had, last comprehensive plan was created in 2008, but the zoning ordinances were never implemented. So that's seriously lacking. So that's one thing that they're moving with. Moving forward with Jared Associates to do the income survey, which would then allow them, Jared Associates, to apply to the state for funds that the county would only be responsible for $7,500 and $50,000 would come from the state. And then the highway department, they have completed submission to the state for a county crossings grant to give a shot in the arm to their budget. Another note on the highway department, early on in me taking on this committee, I came in a hold of a map of the community that the highway department and Ken had put together to show, and there's a key code, and all the streets of our community are color coded, and you can look at the key and see. Well, I've placed that map now on the blog site on the HLCS, so anybody can go in there and look and see what year up through 2025 your neighborhood road is going to get resurfaced. Chip and seal resurface is what they do. And when they're really bad, they come in and grind it down first. And that's what they did up in Lincoln Hills last year, was ground it all out. Just some miscellaneous, the CCCD meeting is February 20th, I believe, unless they don't have one this month, but that's what it looks at. There is a public health board meeting this week on Thursday the 13th at 6:30 p.m. in the Putnam County Hospital classroom if anyone's interested in attending. And the next government committee meeting will be Thursday, February 27th, 8 a.m. here. That's it.
Thank you very much, Dick. Before we move on, Deborah, are there any other committee reports that you still need for the annual meeting, or have they all been turned in now?
Just looking at the list, I think we've got them all.
Cool. Okay. Good job, everybody, in getting those rounded up. All right, manager's report, Ken Roselle.
All right, mine's gonna be very short, because last month, we've,
I hear that, Jim.
we've pretty much just been administrative work only. But likewise, we had our own IU Purdue party Saturday, which was very well attended, and I appreciate everybody coming out and joining that. We had a great turnout. It was a very nice social event. It allows us to mingle and chat with one another while Tom and Mary Ann Novak ring their cowbell every time Purdue scored. Unfortunately for the IU fans, the bell rang way too many times. Thanks, but it made it fun. The assessment mailings have recently been mailed out after calculating this year's assessments through Consumer Price Index. This year's assessment went up to $260 per lot per year. I still think that this is a great deal for what our community has to offer to all you property owners. Finally, if anyone is looking for seasonal employment for the marina or lake security, please visit the office, fill out an application, and please specify the position you are interested in. I'll begin to fill in those positions in the near future. Thank you.
It's exciting, thinking about working at the marina now. It's about getting the day that time of year. Winter will be
Real
over
soon.
soon. Yeah,
Real soon.
exactly. All right, old business A, marina update. Paul Forbes is not here, so Jim Johnson, it's on you. Where are we at?
Hey,
Construction's moving along.
everybody noticing it?
Yeah, looking good.
It is happening. I will tell you what else is happening. We are receiving bills. Last year, we got about 25,000, 79,000, and right at 100,000. And now, there's no bill we're getting, it's less than 100 grand. So it's like, but we're prepared, we're ready for it. Thanks, by the way, to Hendricks County Bank for helping us with the transition that we're gonna be able to get through. Once they get those babies up, or did they finish them today?
They were putting up the last one when I went home.
Yeah, once they get those trusses up, then they get this down and this down, and then the guys can work all day long. So it's awesome. It's really awesome. And Forbes said he thought, Paul Forbes said that he thought that we were gonna be getting in there somewhere around early May. I would say late May. All right? Forbes might be right if the weather ends up being good for us. And because once we get the technology in there, we're going. We can operate even though it might not be completely finished. So nobody's gonna have any problems with their boats. We're gonna be able to get our all of our stickers and all that kind of stuff issued, and it's rocking and rolling. But I do want to bring one thing up. Who's received their request to pay their annual? Everybody's got it?
Yeah.
Who hasn't paid it yet?
I haven't
I want you to notice that at the very top, in the middle of the page, is a request for voluntary contributions to the marina. Please be generous. Now, I do want to say one more thing about that. We are working on a recognition program. We were originally thinking about having like pavers that would have your name in it. I don't think we're gonna do that because it's so labor intensive, but we're gonna have a wall to recognize everybody that has made additional contributions. And it's awesome to see what the community's doing. We're already getting contributions, aren't we, coming in?
Yes, we got 150 today, just from one person, so it was real nice.
So be generous as much as you can. We really don't need that much more, but the more that we get in up front, the sooner we can rebuild our resources for the next project. What that's going to be. So that's it.
Thanks, Jim. And I think it's a good point because as we've been told and as the plan has always been, a lot of the funding for this marina is coming through the 3 or 4 fees specifically that were raised pretty significantly in order to help pay for that. So those folks that don't have a campground spot or a boat slip or a tie-up or a boat to register that helps pay towards that marina, there's your opportunity to contribute as well, along with the other members of the community that are shouldering a lot of that burden. So there's a chance if you want to take it. If not, no one's going to know the difference, but it's something that we're all going to benefit from and hopefully we'll be able to take pride in, and it'll help all our property values in the long run. Another great amenity here at Heritage Lake. Thank you, Jim. Covenant vote. So I don't have an update really on the covenant vote because for those of you that aren't aware, the way this whole covenant petition vote calculation has happened, nobody on the board has visibility of who's voted what. So who's doing that work? Jim Eulenbein and the election committee. Jim's in sunny Florida for the last couple weeks, and he'll come back in time for the annual meeting, so we'll have another update at that time. But it's really important that you recognize that nobody on the board sees what anybody is voting. We don't see the yeses or nos. we know the numbers, we know how it's been broken down, but that's the extent of it. So for anybody that thinks there could be some funny business happening, that's not the case. There's a lot of systems, checks and balances that happen in the background between Jim and then our electronic voting system, and then Deborah vetting everything through the office, so it's a constant cycle. We've broken down the 2019-2020 covenant petition voting cycle. It's 18 months, so it started around last March, early April of last year, and it's gonna go all the way through September 30th of this year. We're about closing in on the second chunk of voting period. The first one went to about October. Now we're going from October till the end of February. Everybody who's voted between October and the end of February will be entered into a drawing in the first board meeting in March. As we've stated many times, it'll be a raffle for some gift card cash prizes for everybody that's cast their petition. For those that still haven't voted at that time, you'll get another mailer in the mail in the next few coming weeks after the board meeting. And you'll also get another email invitation to the email or the electronic voting website. So we're really pushing. We've got about 7 more months left to try to get either the number of yeses or the number of noes that constitutes the end of that cycle. So we have, one way or the other, the community will help decide whether these covenant proposals are going to pass or not. So keep that in mind. New business A, Endeavor Wireless and Telecommunications. Ken Roselle.
Okay, I rolled this out to you guys during the ops meeting. We could look at this really one of 3 ways, or 3 different ways. Being the ogre, as Jim says, $38,000 is, obviously a lot of money for a new. This is basically our wireless Wi-Fi and our new phone system. Out of that $38,000, $23,000 of it is the campground. So that's one way of looking at it, to omit the campground and do take a look at that in the budget for next year. One thing that's a given is we got to get the marina up and going with Wi-Fi and the phone system, and that is the $6,427. That is on, I think, if you turn to page 5. That's what I'm going to request that we go ahead and approve. Now, if you want to only approve the marina, or we can approve the marina, clubhouse, activity center, and pool, which is going to be roughly $15,000. So we either take a look at the marina at 64, doing the 4 for 15,000, and omitting the campground, or the whole ball of wax is 38,700. Now, I think we talked about during the first campground selection meeting to discuss with them and see what their interest is on the wireless down there. So I think that's a given, that we could kind of put a hold on that until we get a feel for if they would be interested in purchasing that service. And if so, then I think we figured like 3 years we could get that money back. But right now we need to kind of manage with a little bit of a tight fist. So I'm open for suggestions. I noticed that the Endeavor crew is here. I appreciate that. For any additional questions, but
Ken, I got a question. So for the clubhouse, we currently have Wi-Fi in the clubhouse, right?
here, yes.
Yes, so what would we be gaining, or what would we be passing up if we didn't do the clubhouse upgrades?
I think a lot more power, is that correct? More power here, and new phone system. That's going to, basically our ultimate goal was to have one number that they would select, an extension for the marina, extension for the pool here, versus having different
Is
numbers.
there an integration between the telephone system and the Wi-Fi?
Again, with the what?
Is there an integration between the telephone system and the Wi-Fi?
No, the telephone system just uses the public internet, it wouldn't use the wireless.
We have to have the telephone system, right? Do we have a choice?
I think that's on this other page,
Yeah,
the telephone stuff's on here.
yeah.
Okay, let me keep it away from that.
This
What's your ramp time as it relates to, let's say we said, can you wait until we get the marina set up, which I'm gonna guess, let's say May. What's your ramp time to get this building, activity center, and the pool up and running?
When you say ramp time, you mean how long from
We give you the
you guys say
nod?
go to, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I would say 3 to 4 weeks.
I think we will know by the end of April where we are financially with the project. The reality is that you're supposed to be this tight-fisted guy. It's only 10 grand. So it would be useful if we had it. I mean, I can think of these people out there laying by the pool with their kids, playing on their Wi-Fi. I mean, that'd be cool, right? So we ought to be able to try to give that to them if we can.
I don't know how the cell phone reception is, but if you have a smartphone, you can also use Wi-Fi, the Wi-Fi calling. So much better reception.
But if your ramp time's only a few weeks, and if we know that our cash flows are not gonna be good, then we can say no. So we can say no now, but maybe yes later.
Would it make more sense to just table it then?
I think we have to do the marina.
I was gonna say,
Yeah,
do
that-
we,
Yeah.
while they're under construction, do we wanna get in there, cause you're gonna run fiber to the marina? Do you have a chase to get in to that
Yeah,
building?
we've talked to your general contractor.
Yeah, that's all, they're ready.
Okay, I just wanna make sure if the dirt work's not done there, we don't wanna pave it and then go, oh shit, we need,
Oops.
yeah.
I believe,
10 grand.
Tom was in the meeting
I
with us.
believe Endeavor, it will also be the party who installs the Cat 6 cable in the marina. So they would have to start before the drywall goes up at least. Am I incorrect?
No, you are correct.
So is that part of the $6,400 or whatever?
Yeah.
So we don't have a choice, we
I
have
think,
to.
yeah, that's why I say, I mean, the marina's we gotta begin a vote on that. We can table the others if you want, but we gotta move forward with
I
them.
mean, at that stage, we're only talking about another $8,000 or $9,000, and then everything's done and linked up and done. It's kind of rip off the Band-Aid. In my opinion, it's rip off the Band-Aid and get it over with. And then everything starts the warranty clock, everything starts the service contract or whatever, all as one fell swoop, instead of having multiple start dates.
Is that right, as far as you're concerned?
Yeah. It was, we put together the bid and as a whole, not knowing you would want to separate out.
You just have to keep in mind, one thing to keep in mind also is that your idea of connectivity or transparent connectivity between the marina and the clubhouse would not take place unless you do the clubhouse part also.
I mean, we have internet, so.
But it will,
You would not be able to put internet at the pool or the rec center without having the internet here, because it's gonna originate from here. And then we do a wireless.
But the marina could still talk to here.
Yes, using your existing connection.
It would slow us down.
It would cripple us.
What they were gonna be doing would speed up our Wi-Fi here a lot.
And so the equipment that you have is restricting the amount of bandwidth that's coming in here right now, so, what do they have, a gigabit or? So if we put a gigabit internet in here, the equipment that you have will throttle that down tremendously versus the equipment that we're proposing will give you all the bandwidth that we're providing to you, which is a gigabit of internet. Symmetrical.
That would be huge for us.
I think I also remember Ken suggesting that the amount of money to do the marina the clubhouse, the activity center, and the pool, that money would come out of already budgeted contract services. Was I
Yeah.
mistaken?
But that would almost shotgun your whole budget for the whole year.
About half of it.
Yeah.
It would take away about half.
Half of it. So what's the total without the campground? Just sort of-
15 plus or minus.
15,358, 34.
I motion we do it,
The one thing
the
Second.
whole thing.
I just have a question. We also have to keep in mind, this quote, as far as I understand, unless I'm mistaken, does not include what I would call a maintenance agreement. Is that correct?
Right, just with any type of hardware that you would purchase with installation, you do have a period of time where, you know, we would cover, we could work that out in the fine details about how long you would need, but how long we would cover, you know, testing if certain areas weren't getting the right type of signal, we could come out and adjust. The majority of those things will happen during the installation, but afterwards, for the equipment, it would just be on an ad hoc basis. You know, this would be a normal time and material for us to come out and make any adjustments, but once we get the wireless in place, you don't really have a lot of issues physically with that. It's more user issues, I don't know how to connect or something along those lines. So we can help with providing, you know, a packet, here's how to connect your iPhone, here's how to connect your Android laptop, etc. And then as far as the firewalls and the switches, very, very rare are you gonna have, in this environment, would you need to get in there and do anything with those. So I think your ongoing costs will be very, very minimal.
Just because I know AJ asked the question at our last meeting regarding the equipment and the concept of a maintenance agreement. Just to throw out a figure, what would be is there such a thing as a maintenance agreement that you guys can do, or is it on a per call basis?
No, we can absolutely, we can do ad hoc, which is per call basis, or we could also do a monthly contract. Now, keep in mind, the monthly contract would not just cover the routers and the firewalls and the switches, it would also cover, you know, staff computers, any servers you may have. It's gonna cover a lot more. And I think, I don't know if you wanna talk numbers, but, you know, I think we have a rough idea of what those things would look like.
What would that rough be? What is the ad hoc per hour?
Well, so the per hour is, our normal rate is $150 per hour. If you do the maintenance agreement, it's all inclusive. So we're a little different than most IT companies. We don't charge by the hour once you have an agreement with this. It's all built into the monthly price.
Any guess as the maintenance agreement?
How many users? You have 3 users, so it's
Yeah, 2, 3, right?
10.
The 4?
Yes.
4.
We have a remote plus the 3.
Plus at the marina.
Okay. And then how many, this is all ad hoc off the top of my head, and then how many PCs?
2 POS.
2 POS. I would say in the neighborhood of $750 to $1,000 per month, all inclusive. So you would not have an ongoing,
If you have one VPN issue, you can eat up 8 hours like that, at about 150 an hour. That's my only.
Can we table that part of it right now?
We can table that part. Also, I just had a quick question. On this second sheet that talks about the service schedule, there were some one-time charges on the marina for $338 and the clubhouse for $1437. Is that included in this 15,000?
That is separate.
No, it's separate.
But we're gonna need that for the phone system stuff.
correct. So you're moving from a digital phone system, the Avaya that you have, to
Void.
a VoIP and their IP phones.
So we'll just need to make sure we add in that. In the one-time fee category, another $1,800 to get the equipment, hardware in this project.
Just one last question, if I may. With the network environment and the monitoring software that you're proposing in your contract, will we have the ability to monitor that?
As this stands right now, no. Well, I take that back. Yes, you will have the access to take a look at the firewalls, the switches, and the access points. But anything further than that, no. Unless we do a monthly contract, and then you can go all the way down to the device, as far as monitoring and things like that.
So without a monthly contract, we wouldn't have the ability to go to that level? And I guess why is that?
Well, because this is Ubiquity.
Yes, I'm familiar with
Right?
it.
And Ubiquity, we have our own cloud with Ubiquity. So we would basically adopt all the equipment to our cloud, and we would have the admin username and password. You would have the username and password that you can get in and view. And if you wanted to make adjustments on it, you certainly can. So you'll be able to see those things. You'll be able to get the stats, see how many people are on it, how much has been used, etc. You just need to tell us if you want the ability to edit.
Ooh, that's not a good idea.
So,
No
I don't want to tell you you can't edit your own
We should not.
equipment, but I would just
No edit.
encourage you to work with us if there's some issues that need to be taken care of so that something doesn't get.
So after that first installation period, you're saying you will continue to monitor the network environment or
Well-
not without a service contract? In other words, who, on a continual basis, let's say your hardware, I'm just throwing out a figure, has a 9-month warranty,
Mhm.
which is probably what it does have. After that 9-month period, will you continue to monitor our network environment?
Yes, it will still be adopted in our system so that it can be viewed. There's no active monitoring on that equipment. There's nothing to monitor at that point. But you have access to it so you can see it, make adjustments, anything like that.
Okay.
One of the things we talked about at the last meeting was a fee, a user fee, like and when we were talking about the campground at the time, where somebody can have only 1 or 2 devices attached at the same time, otherwise there may be an additional fee or something like that. How is it gonna be set up if 6 people in a family over at the pool all wanna tie in at one time? Can it be set up so essentially each homeowner or property owner has an account and you're allowed 2 devices per account at any one time? So, you know, Paul and his wife can be on their account, they can both be on their devices, but if when the kids comes out and they want to get on one of theirs, then is it going to kick mom or dad off, or is there a way to monitor that? I know we've talked about that as far as that slows the bandwidth down, and kind of the idea is maybe discourage as many people on there so it doesn't end up slowing things down.
So to answer your question, we can do anything you want. We can leave it wide open. So you can have, you'll have the network name of Heritage Lake POA, for example. No matter where you go, the clubhouse, the pool, campground eventually, it'll have one name. So wherever you go, your phone will connect. Now, if you want to limit who gets on that, that's where we would need to work together to figure out how you want that to look. You know, if you want to charge for it, you can. If you want to, when you do charge for it, do you want to limit to certain people? You know, how do you want that to look? I think we were talking, leaving it open thought here at the pool and at the marina, and of course the activity center, and then we could, if you wanted to, lock down the campground, or if you wanted to have access there, you'd have to pay for it.
And I think, you know, to answer one of your questions, it is possible with this particular software to monitor the bandwidth that's being used in different areas or from different devices, and then you could throttle the amount of bandwidth you're allocating to those devices. You know, so that might be a possible solution, as long as we would have that capability.
Yes.
That we would have it. So we would be able to not only monitor, but we would be able to throttle back
You could-
without calling you.
Yeah, on an ad hoc basis, yes. Now, we'll tell you, in the background, we will make the network for you guys priority, so that if, you know, a lot of people are streaming Netflix at the pool, it's not gonna impact business. You guys will get the priority, and then just deal with slower speeds.
And as part of your documentation, my assumption is you will give us the super admin account name and password? Because we've run into trouble before that if an individual leaves or gets disgruntled in your organization, we don't know how to get in. That's what I'm saying, even though we wouldn't intend to do those edits, we would need the ability to therefore allow somebody else to do those edits.
Right. It would be no different than having the username and password to your current firewall and any of the switches that you have now. You would just add this username and password to that same file.
Yeah, as long as we get the super admin password.
Admin password one. Okay, so I make a motion to approve the marina, the clubhouse, the activity center, and the pool building amounts listed on this nice colorful piece of paper, and the other two one-time charges listed on the Endeavor Services schedule, which is $338 and $1437.85,
Which total would be 17,133.
which is
17,133.
is doing
How many votes?
And I would like to do it on a single vote because of speed and getting the marina, not delaying the marina, getting the cable work that you need done in there.
Do we have tabling the campground section until we have input from the campground?
Correct, I did not put the campground in there.
To answer your question,
Never
Chris,
separate
number
motion.
of phones, there's a total, it looks like 4 handsets plus 2 conference phones. Oh no, 1 conference phone, 1 cordless phone. So that's what Endeavor will provide. 2 handsets, 4 desk phones,
We're in the office, this
Correct.
conference, and the
1
one at the pool
conference,
for the
and 1
cordless.
cell phone. Because what you notice is, or what you don't notice, is the activity center is not listed as a phone. So the activity center would be able to use that cordless phone
Cordless phone's going to the pool.
pool. Okay, so as long as we're all aware that the activity center wouldn't have a phone.
Correct.
You won't be out here anyway.
Doesn't have it now.
You might want to sign up though
It's a
for
run.
someone for emergency.
It's a rental building, so we.
Well, there's a conference phone, 4 phones, and a cordless phone. How many phones do we need? There's 3 of you in the office,
3 here.
1 there, that's 4. That's the conference phone right there. That's,
No, we got 4 in here. We got one in my office, her office, and 2. 2 in the center.
oh, I thought there was only 3 because there's 3 people.
Deborah's so busy, she needs 2 desks.
Depends on what
Can we
you
just,
set.
can we just add you, have you add one when you put in this stuff over there for the 100? Okay, add whatever I had to $169 more.
For what?
1 other phone
For
for the
what?
activity center.
What's it gonna cost us a month?
We don't need a phone.
We don't have a phone there
We
now.
don't need a phone there?
No.
Okay, great.
Delete that part from your motion then.
I'd already stopped my motion. You guys started rambling on about other numbers.
Okay, restate your
second
motion,
that.
AJ.
Jeez Louise.
Restate it.
Man.
And you know what, we can have a
Goodness.
second motion to table the campground part, so just leave that part out.
I wasn't even gonna talk about the campground.
Cool. Go ahead, AJ.
Campground, you're out.
Say it again.
Okay. I make a motion for the second time. So this is the second part of the
No,
vote.
don't confuse it.
Sorry. I make a motion for Endeavor's proposal for the marina, the clubhouse, the activity center, and the pool building be approved for the infrastructure as listed on here. Do I need to read all these numbers?
No.
No.
Give us the total.
The 4 numbers listed, plus there is 2 one-time charges for hardware needed at the activity center, pool, and marina, totaling $17,133.
Second.
Okay. And I asked for a one-time vote in order to not delay the marina process.
So So we have a motion and we have a second.
Second his motion that he just said.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Can we just put the, did you have, I didn't hear the amount for the network infrastructure. Is that part of the motion?
17,000.
17,133 total, including the infrastructure.
If you minus the 1437 and the 15 and some change,
Plus you have tax.
title, license fee, handling,
There's taxes.
shipping.
Taxes on all that.
Let's just round it to a tight 20.
Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second, we had a vote. Tom, did you,
No, thank you.
you approve?
Yes.
Okay, so
We're good.
none opposed. All right. Thank you, Ken.
Good job, Scott.
Thanks, guys. Now, do you want to make a motion?
Yeah, I would
for
like to make a
campground?
motion to table the charges for the infrastructure to the campground until further date at which the members of the campground can have their ideas added to that.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thanks, guys. Thank you, Jeff. All right.
Thanks for being here.
When you guys have that meeting with the campground, I can be here along with our engineer, because I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions.
Okay.
It's on Sunday, March 1st.
What is it?
Sunday, March 1st at 1 o'clock.
Okay, Sunday?
I know. Me too.
I do want to give you guys two side notes on the campground. We're looking earliest timeline of probably June, July, before we can have service at the campground anyways, as part of our fiber build out. We're targeting for the marina to be completed pending this conversation this evening, March 1st. That's our target date to have fiber service available at the marina. That way we can provide a go live date for your point of sale system at that point. So that's what we're targeting at this point. We will basically work with Ken and Deb on the paperwork of this, but I'll turn it into the engineering team tomorrow morning and let them know what we're looking for.
Thank you. All right, new business B. Assessment write-offs, Deborah Napier.
In conjunction with speaking with the CPA, it was recommended that we write off approximately $50,000 in bad debt, assuming that we're not going to collect any of those bad debt. They're ex-owners that's been on the books for years and years and years, and we're cleaning up the accounts receivable. We have really, what was it, less than 1% last year? 1%. We're down less than 1% on those folks that don't pay. Then they go to the attorney and they triple their bill. I'm not kidding.
Deborah, what's the current amount
It's, the current amount,
of the write-offs that were?
it's approximately 50,000. I don't have exact numbers. It's 50 to 60 somewhere in there. I don't have anything.
53,000?
That's, yeah, approximately 53.
Okay,
I wrote 53,000 on the ops meeting.
okay. Okay, so as a reminder, guys, we had this discussion at the ops meeting. It's part of the annual considerations that we have to go through and run in the association. As Deborah said, they've made extraordinary efforts to try to collect that debt. Some of it's just not going to be collected, period. And this is the amount that we want to clean off the books now, so it's an approximately $53,000. So we need to approve this write-off for Deborah to get the books cleaned up, so.
I motion to approve the write-offs so Deborah can get her books cleaned up.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Any other discussion before we vote? If not, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
None opposed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. Clean them up.
Got it.
A&E rule additions, new business C. Paul Forbes at the operations meeting, you guys all have some papers in front of you about this suggestion he had for changes to the A&E rules. He outlined 3 separate changes. First one is a community email blast. His request is that at 4 o'clock every Wednesday that precedes the first and third Thursdays of each month, the POA office will send out an email blast announcing the permit requests submitted for approval. The objective is to give any interested property owner the opportunity to attend the A&E committee meeting and provide their input as part of the evaluation process. The second item up for proposal is number 2, the POA office shall be notified upon foundation completion by the contractor. The POA will then have 72 hours to have the foundation inspected by a state licensed surveyor. If for any reason the foundation has not been inspected within the 72 hours, the builder may proceed with the building. The objective of this is to assure that all foundations will follow the approved drawings submitted to the A&E committee. The third proposal is any violations discovered by the A&E committee or the POA shall be submitted to the Putnam County Inspector for evaluation and/or fines. The county can and will issue fines at the request of the Heritage Lake POA. The objective of this change is to help the policing of potential violations and ensure that such violations are corrected and/or punished. Paul opened it up for the board to email him questions before he went on vacation. I don't know if anybody had submitted questions that they didn't receive answers to. But there is a list of 2 questions that were asked. The first was, regarding the third rule, will that be for everything or only for the rules that follow both rules? And the answer is, it'll be for both rules, or all rules. The POA cannot fine people, but the county can. The second question asked was, in the event that scenario number 3 happens, which is violations discovered resulting in a Putnam County Inspector review, will a work stoppage be required pending resolution, or would that be done in a case-by-case basis? We may want to include wording for that if we expect that will occur. The answer was, as it stands right now, the HLPOA can stop work on any project that is in violation. However, we cannot fine them. Number 3 is written in a way to make the builders aware that we will pursue fines through the county. The county used to fine violators $250. They have since upped the maximum to $2,500. So there will be penalties for violations of those rules. No bueno. Discussion.
Will these be effective if we approve them tonight?
Yes.
So therefore, anything that's coming up on Thursday, next Thursday, subject to these rules?
Yep. Any other questions or discussion?
So are there some differences in the rules? Does anybody know?
Differences in what rule?
In between the, I guess, the A&E committee and the county? I mean, because I'm pretty sure there are a few differences, and I just wondered, I mean.
I think setbacks is one of them. isn't it?
Yeah, setback's the biggie.
So,
What else, Ben? Differences between Putnam and,
Square footage of the house
Mhm.
is different for the county and for us. And we state in our covenants that we go by the county, but that's not a true statement. That was just politics when it was brought up. And
Which is more restrictive, ours or the county's?
well,
we're 1,000, aren't we?
ours is 680 square feet.
Oh, whoa,
But in,
that's a shed.
in the 17 years, 18 years that I've been doing this,
Don't say many.
we haven't had anything under 1,000 or even close to 1,000.
Yeah.
I probably, there's one builder that built a 1,441 square foot house, and I think that's about the smallest. And he's built several of them. So to have a rule that states you have to have a certain amount isn't really necessary because nobody's doing it anyway.
This is just more for like surveying and foundational stuff. This is not like a minimum, maximum square footage or
Yeah,
setbacks.
I think these are being proposed because we've had discrepancies in the past that have been brought to the board. We've had issues where plans have been approved and then the foundation is set and it's wrong and it has to be torn down. And then the discrepancy is always like, well, who's gonna be responsible for sharing the change to that plan now? And we've, a couple times, I think we've split the cost between the builder and the POA. And I don't know if the county ever did anything with that, but, I mean, it's just something that we know has been a problem before, and this is an attempt to try to correct that.
I guess what we all have to remember, going back to the question regarding restrictive, we, as a body, as a governing body, we have to follow the more restrictive of a policy. So if the county is more restrictive than us, one example would be from the setback, we have to go with the county. If the county is more restrictive than us with the size, we have to go with the county. We don't have a choice. That's how we have to govern.
Correct.
Ben, do you know what the distance a building can be from like a side line by the county and by
8
us?
foot.
Is the county the same?
It doesn't really matter. Our plats, all 6 subdivisions were platted in 71 and 72. Those plats spell out all the guidelines, rules and regulations, setbacks, all of that is on those plats. Those were accepted by the county and recorded by the county, and that makes it Indiana law.
Okay.
Any other discussion?
Could I say something on that?
Sure.
Curtis Talbert, Field and Gettysburg. The only problem we ran into really is the 25-foot that our covenants say versus what was actually platted, the 30 feet.
30.
That Ben was talking about, 30 feet.
Yeah.
And the board made a couple exceptions there, but the A&E rules always followed the 30 foot, and then if you guys change it, that's up to you, but it isn't ours.
Thank you, Curtis.
But again, we cannot change it. You know, even if we change it to 5 feet, since the county is more restrictive than us, we have to go by the county.
The county agreed on what we did, like on the
Then the
side
county,
guidelines.
I think the county would have to change their ordinance, their definition, their plats that show 30 feet. The county would have to change the plats to go along with us, and I would guarantee you the county's not gonna do that.
No, but they've already agreed to what we have put, though, is what Ben was saying.
Randy, you talk about a practical matter versus a technical matter? I mean, they approve whatever we tell them to approve.
That's what I thought,
But that doesn't change the point that Tom's making. That, you know, if we approve a 25, that's in violation of what
The county rules.
the county rules say.
so if we approve it, and then the county approves it, and then we go back and go, oh, that's wrong.
No, the county will do whatever we do, right?
That's what they have done, right?
Well,
Yeah,
They
it's
don't want
simply a
to mess with it.
variance.
that's come and gone several ways over the years. It depends on who the commissioners are, who the director of building and planning is. Right now, we have a good relationship, and our plats are law, and we've confirmed that through the lawyer and through the steps of rules and regulations and all that. You know, who's got the power for what. Our plats are law for our community. And the county has accepted that and recorded that, and that's it. That is Indiana law.
Okay.
If there's no more discussion, I'll make a motion.
Go right ahead.
I'll make a motion to accept all 3 rules as we have heard them read and we have written effective today.
I second.
All in favor?
This is gonna need a double vote.
Opposed? One opposed.
I don't think so.
No,
That
it's a single
involves
vote, it's a
money,
rule.
that involves money.
Oh, right, sorry.
No money involved. Did you write it down? One opposed. Okay, so that's effective starting now.
Congratulations.
All right. Paul got something through when he wasn't here, how about that? All right. New business D, Marina point of sale, Ken Roselle.
Okay, the point of sale is basically a new register system, inventory system that we've been looking at for quite some time now with the help of Darcy Schaefer. She's very more knowledgeable than I am, so I've enlisted her to help me do some research on a system for the new marina. Kind of quick notes. She has spent over 31 hours researching probably the top 10 of the best companies for small and mid-sized businesses, basically identifying our needs and the cost. So out of those 10 companies, kind of narrowed it down to 3, and we really dove in on those 3. And after narrowing down those 3, that we decided to go with a company by the name of Vind. We met with both office ladies, April and Deborah, and had a little presentation up on the screen in there, and I think we all agree that that's probably the best system for us. Allowing time to implement this and getting we could get the hardware a little cheaper by ordering it through Amazon. I'm requesting a one-time vote of $2,930 plus a $500 one-time setup fee for training, equaling $3,430. I suggest not to exceed $3,500. Darcy did put together a why this company is viable list for any questions that you may have. Some of the things that I highlighted on that list, one of the things that I really like about it is the capability of inventory. Right now we have no inventory system down there whatsoever. So it can even help us get rid of what Lois does now with our cards to fill out the information on your boats and register your boats. All that stuff can go in the system. So we have a database of all that information. It'll save a lot of time with some handwriting of things that they do here, some handwriting of things ladies do here in the office. It'll save just a ton of time. There is no contract to this system. Vind had just partnered with the current company, what is it, Avalon that we use? Yeah, just partnered with them, our credit card company. So that's a smooth transition. It has gift card capabilities, so if we would have gift cards down there for you to buy me a gift card.
You ogre.
That would be a nice plus to have down there, something we don't have. It's just something we've done a lot, or Darcy has done a lot of research on, and this company, Vind, has got an extremely high rate of approval, or satisfaction, and over some of the others, and that's kind of where we're at.
They have a monthly maintenance fee.
There is a for their service.
said that there's a suspension fee of $5 if we're not using it.
Yeah, it's basically when the marina is closed, we won't be paid, it's a $200 a month fee for using their service. And then that gets, put on ice while the marina's closed, and it's a $5 a month fee.
So we're not paying for the service when it's off-season and we're not using it.
Our regular credit card fees apply for that, like 3%, 2%, 1%. And they swipe the card and charges,
That'll be,
but there's nothing additional through that, like 10 cents a swipe or something like that, that's any additional stuff.
What type of hardware makes up the system?
Touchscreen.
you want me to go down the list? So what you wanna do?
Well, either that or if you have a copy of the list.
Yeah,
Isn't it the second paragraph on the
yeah.
sheet? Second paragraph.
There it is, yeah. Hardware cost and effective software.
It doesn't give the actual
It
pieces
doesn't
of
say what
hardware.
pieces are.
Is the credit card, are we putting a credit card swipe on a gas pump now? Is that happening? Or did we
It's a
decide?
plan.
We are planning on
It's a
it.
plan.
Does this company offer a wireless solution though if we had to take out to the gas pump to get swiped out
Or see,
there?
we talked about that. I think that's kind of,
Like a handheld?
it's kind of omitted right now because,
The system is cloud-based, so any laptop or Surface Pro or iPad for that matter that you buy for the two, right now, you're talking about 2 registers at the marina, okay? A third one potentially would be at the gas pump, which again would just be any Surface Pro or laptop, anything that can run on their Wi-Fi. The credit card system is a completely different system. They do, like Deborah mentioned or Ken mentioned, this company did partner with Elevon, the hardware vendor that they use today for the credit card system. So they will marry each other very well, but they are 2 separate entities.
So we need to talk to Elevon as far as if we wanted a handheld or something like that we could take out there to swipe the gas pump if we don't get a credit card enabled gas pump.
Correct.
That was all I'm saying, because I know that was a hot topic of discussion, was being able to not have to run cards back and forth.
Right.
inside.
basically your expense of the $2,900, you got 3 touchscreen computers. Everything else is probably less than $100. You got Microsoft Windows 10 Pro download for $383. A charging dock for your scanners for $475. A thermal receipt printer for $463, and a cash drawer for $219. Everything else is under $100.
Just the only reason I ask about hardware, I just want to make sure that the environment that's needed, Endeavor knows about, or excuse me, the network company, VIA knows about the hardware. You know, do they need any jacks to plug it into the cable, you know, to the Cat 6 cable? Are the jacks accounted for? I mean, how
I
many
don't believe
jacks
so.
are-
It's all wireless, isn't it?
It's wireless to get to the cloud, yes, but I think maybe what Tom's talking about are like the printer, like the little receipt printers and the scanners. Some of them are Bluetooth, some of them do plug in, but yes, if you go the laptop route, you should have plenty of jacks for that, and if not, you can always buy an adapter that's fairly inexpensive that has those ports on it.
And once up and running, Darcy's gonna be kind of our training person to get us all trained on that.
Just a suggestion, is it possible, I heard what Darcy says, is it possible, just, I don't know, if VIA already knows this vendor? You've worked with them in the past?
No, not the vendor, no. I don't know, we're not familiar with it.
Vind, that's the name of the company, Vind.
Right.
They just need to provide network jacks. They're probably gonna have them underneath the counter.
Yeah.
After the counters are installed, they'll be down there to plug in laptops.
I haven't seen a layout, so I don't know how many jacks you got provided or what have you in
We
terms
don't have
of,
any all
in terms of wireless. We want to make sure we have enough access points in the marina that it would support the system. I just would feel, you know, I think it's great, you know, whatever you guys chose in terms of point of sale, fine. I just want to make sure it's able to connect with our network environment. So if it means
Well, I understand, you guys would have to approve it, then I would have to go to them and tell them what.
Correct. Okay, so that will take place though.
I
Okay,
think the phones and are the registers gonna be next to phones? Is that right?
I'm not sure that's their.
The two registers you said you would put?
Yeah, we had talked about it, putting the phone right in between both registers.
So the phone has, we can daisy chain. So if they're not wireless, which I can't imagine they're not, but if they're not wireless, it won't be a problem as long as there's a phone within, 10 feet.
And I think the third pump, the third potential register, as we're calling it, I mean, because a register these days, guys, can just be, a handheld iPad with swipe. So I use that term loosely because it doesn't look and feel like a regular cash register that we all think about today. Because especially out there, if they use it if we end up getting a third register, which is included in that $200 a month, by the way, their price is $99 and then $49 for each register after that. So the 200 actually includes a third register potentially out at the gas pump. That would depend on if the Wi-Fi is strong enough, obviously,
You will have Cat 6 available at the gas pump.
Okay.
We are pulling Cat 6 to the pump
All right,
for
so,
that purpose.
so that should be a non-issue there, but if you choose to do that, then you would just buy another, if you want to have a register out there, you just buy a third laptop or Surface Pro. Probably more like something like a Surface Pro out there would be my opinion, because it's a little more mobile than, say, a laptop. But the laptops are cheaper, which is why I think it would be fine for Lois and her group to have the two registers inside a laptop, because I don't expect that they're going to move around quite as much as the person who's mobile out of the time.
is there a cash drawer with this environment?
Yes.
So there is a cash drawer besides a laptop?
That's the one that I said was $219.
The two inside would have a cash drawer, the one outside would not, because as I understand it, that's only going to be, you're only going to pay at the pump when you're paying with credit card. If you're paying any other method, then I believe that you're asking those folks to go inside.
Actually, there's two cash.
And I would assume that whatever the input vehicle is, it's programmable from the standpoint, if we wanted to create a button that said annual assessment. So if somebody wanted to pay their annual assessment at the marina, whatever this device looks like could have a icon that has annual assessment?
No. Separated. They're two separate systems still. Because one is an accounting package, an enterprise accounting package, where you're doing annual invoicing, and the other one is point of sale transactional. You could scan it there, you could make a code, yeah, a UPC code, and you could scan it there, but then you're gonna end up actually looking like you've doubled your revenue on assessments. Because you've already built that stuff manually through their enterprise accounting system.
That's something else we kind of need to get rolling with
If you
also.
look at, maybe, I don't know if Ken gave you all the stuff, but it outlines in there that Vend actually works with QuickBooks Online, not QuickBooks Enterprise, which is what they have today, as you know, Tom. So in the future, if they decided, or you all decided, whoever makes that decision, if they decided to go to QuickBooks Online, then these two systems could talk to each other. But I don't think in the amount of time that you guys are wanting this up and running, that now's a good, especially with all the assessment payments coming in, I think it's a pretty short timeline to try to get all of this stuff.
But there would be a button for boat registration.
Yes, absolutely.
So therefore, if there's a button for boat registration, and boat registration is an accounting type function, it's not, it's the same, it would be the same as assessments. So if you're able to distinguish between those, I think, I don't know, I'm just thinking futuristic. If somebody would want to pay their assessment at the marina, all in one swoop.
I think that's the long-term goal, but I don't think for what we're looking for, getting the marina up and running and functional in the spring, it's something that this system could get built upon to accommodate later on after things settle down a bit, yeah.
But this system would support it, because if this system would support us keeping track of how much was put in for Powercraft, then it could also keep track of how much was put in for assessments.
They would have to have the database. In
Potentially,
order,
yes.
the accounting database down there to determine if it's more than just 1 year's assessment. And then they would have to have that to reference to show how much to charge this person. So,
Like she's saying, you
Right
have to
now,
go to
the
QuickBooks
POS is
online in
for
order for that to be
retail.
able to sync up,
So,
but it
yeah.
is scalable.
yeah, there's so many components that go into that assessment, and it may not just be, one item. They may have a credit, they may have, someone may have come in and paid their assessment. I mean, they would have to see the whole QuickBooks database for assessments in order to determine whether they could collect, and that's just not right here and now.
There's a lot of that and some security issues that we gotta think through before we pull that trigger. We've had a lot of conversation. It's not as easy as connecting dots 1, 2, and 3. There's a lot involved to get to that stage, and that's why we're not even wanting to approach that this year. We need to take some time and look into that and see if it's even possible. It may not even be possible. I mean, that's opening up a lot of information to just whoever.
So then, okay, let's get off of assessments. But on boat registration, I'm assuming this system will be able to spit out a report of boat registration. How many Powercraft, type of Powercraft, how many paddle boards, how many?
It's basically going to be the same as what they're doing, only it's gonna be electronic. It's gonna save them time. They're not gonna have to go through all those cards and handwrite all that information down if you sold your boat. So there comes out to white out the old boat information, put the new boat information, all that's gonna be electronic. The only part that will not be is those new boats that we know nothing about.
That's great.
So-
So the software then would be able to provide us, it would be able to kick out a report, correct?
They're still gonna have to balance their drawer every night, so yeah. It's gonna be a daily report that comes out. And maybe it comes up to the office weekly like they're doing it now with all their money to balance.
It'll be able to set it up where if we're down to 9 Snicker bars, it'll tell us to order 36.
Oh, that's-
AJ, you got a question?
Can I make a motion to approve not to exceed $3,500 for this Vend POS product? So Ken can get this thing on the move so we can start building an inventory list.
Do I have a second?
So you want to make the motion at one time?
And a one-timer,
Oh,
one hitter, just for Ken.
Okay, so the motion is to approve the point of sale system at not to exceed $3,500 with a single vote tonight.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Unanimous. Thanks, guys.
Yahoo.
Thank you, Darcy and Ken and
for the one
Deborah
hitter.
for the work that you guys have done.
Darcy's done a lot of work on that, Mike says.
Yeah, I've heard POS for the last month and a half around the house, and POS to me has always meant something different, but, all right, whatever. You too, you know what I'm talking about, Lois. Okay, thanks, everybody. So, Marina Point of Sale is done. The additional item on the agenda is now E, credit card fee discussion. Jim Johnson.
Just make this quick. There are basically three general categories that we get charged for from the bank. One is for a virtual thing, which Deborah does to help debit people who are paying us over time. And it appears what we're seeing, the charge for that is 6%. That's not outrageous, because it's entirely manual. We're putting the numbers in. They don't have the security that they normally have, so that's not bad. But it's only $5,000 or so, maybe a little more than that in total charges. So the cost of the POA is just minuscule, $500 maybe. It's not a lot per year. The two big ones, the largest one is the Marina, and it's about $352,000, and it averages somewhere around 1.9. And then the one here at the POA office, because the average sale is larger, it's about 1.6. So I think if we added a surcharge to cover our expenses, that also gets the charge added to it.
Yeah.
You follow? So if it's 1.6, it's also 1.6 of whatever we charge them. So I think somewhere between 1.8 and 2 is probably fair. And I don't think any one of our members would be pissed if we charge them less than what the book says. So I think we ought to, and you can use this information however you want to use it, if you're looking at other banks or things like that. But Anita's done a deep dive in it. The only thing that's outstanding is that there's a story that comes from the bank that says that our average is 2.25%, and it makes no sense. So that'll be answered tomorrow.
Jim, so what do we do for those that have already paid their assessments by credit card at the 3%? We give them a refund?
Just
We
tell
go back and
them,
give them a refund?
do you know how many of those are in that universe?
Can we track that? Yes, we'll be able to track them back
How many
down.
would you
and-
think?
I'm
100?
thinking, no, gosh, no, probably less than 20, if that.
But the longer we wait, the more that's gonna be.
Right.
Well, we can,
It's a
now you
daily
can change
thing.
that with a value, right? You just do a calculation of what the overcharge is gonna be.
For now, yeah.
I'm really confident in that number. I think 2 works, and we don't wanna try to make money on this, we just wanna be,
So you think we should change it from 3 to 2?
I think we can do that and not get bid. Cause we're talking about 600,000 at 2%. That's $12,000.
And that's about.
Our budget was
That's about what we're
12.5 the
getting.
last
That's about
couple
what we're
years.
getting hit.
Yeah.
There you go.
So,
So we need to like motion this thing, or?
I don't know.
Well, we already previously agreed by vote, when we went over the fee increases. We voted on those fee increases. This is a fee decrease, but
We
it
should make a
overrides.
spectacle
But
of
we
that.
have to get it, we have to get, we have to,
save you money.
we have to have it on record that it's been switched back, right? So the way we do that is we make a motion, we vote on it, and then it gets recorded.
Go ahead, tell us all about it.
A one hitter.
Make your motion.
Well,
make
as
your
long as
motion.
you, I don't know what you guys have done looking at other banks. I don't know if that's a good deal or not.
Well, I mean, if we're doing 2, we save them, and if we look at the end of next year and we're in the wrong way.
It's not gonna be,
change it.
it's not gonna be higher than that.
Right.
Okay, so, I moved that our surcharge for fees only, right?
Credit card fees only.
But it's only for
Assessments
Assessments
and
and
fees.
a
Correct.
motion that our credit card charge for assessments and fees be reduced from 3% to 2% effective tomorrow.
A second.
All in favor? Thanks, guys. We reduced a fee, way to go.
Yay.
All right. We made it through the agenda. Some items were more exciting than others. But we did it, got the numbers out of the way. Good job, fellas. So now it's time for the open forum part of the meeting. Anybody who has any business, any questions, All I ask you is to raise your hand, state your name, your lot number, and ask any question you have on your mind, or share an idea, or tell us what's good that's happening in our community. Way in the back.
Steve Hampton, 265 Lincoln Hills. I know the marina's not gonna be ready by the time we start registering votes and
What's
stuff.
that, Dad?
Are we gonna be working out of a trailer?
Maybe.
Yeah, construction trailer probably.
Okay. Are they gonna charge us for a hookup going to the trailer too? And to the marina? Or is it just gonna be one fee going
A hookup for,
to work out of the trailer
For internet
For
or?
internet.
For,
for Endeavor? Are they gonna hook up to the trailer?
well, that'd be a question for them.
And are they gonna charge us for that?
You know, it's not a problem yet. We may be up and running. And if we are, we know that, I believe we know that our partners are gonna be fair with us on that. So I don't think it's a known right now that we're gonna have a problem. Because I do know, we got those babies on top, and once they get those walls in, and we know Endeavor's already running the cable, right? Well, you'll have it all in. So it'll all be there. We might just go into a building that doesn't have any heat and be running those things.
No fires to keep warm.
it's cold in April.
Yeah, Lawson's feet get really cold. So we do need heat.
Well, we get some salamanders in there, we'll be all right.
I've already checked into like a construction trailer. They can get me one really, really quick, within a couple of days. So we're just playing that by ear. We'll just have to wait and see how they progress and how quick we can get in versus how quick we cannot get in. So
But will they charge us if we can't get into the building until April?
That's not their
We're putting
question.
in outdoor access points, so I don't really think that's gonna be a problem.
okay.
There you go. Just run it, yeah.
Whether they do or whether they don't, we still need it.
Yes, sir.
I have a question about if the
Dick?
arena is
Dick?
delayed. Oh,
Stand up.
Stand up, who are you?
Dick
Dick
Reardon,
Reardon, 183 JV.
Gotta get you on the
Again,
record, man.
Again. Is the gas gonna be available to fill up if the marina's not ready yet? Or
Look, we've had a lot of heat on this board for the last year and a half, and we are not gonna take that one. We can bet your tail we're gonna have a gasoline ready.
Okay.
That is like priority one.
Tank's
Yeah,
already
because
full.
they
We're
have-
shutting it down in the fall,
Yeah,
you
the
mean?
tank is
Kentucky?
already full of gas. We could pump gas tomorrow with electricity.
We just gotta get this thing, what do they call that thing from the?
Vita root.
The Vita root. We gotta get the Vita root, doing what the Vita root Viters, and then we'll be.
Brand Construction has been in conversation with the Vita root company, and we got some time to get all that.
We're gonna be good.
Yeah,
I
that,
got 6-gallon tanks.
that Vita root's,
I'll schlep them down there.
that Vita root's not
I'll
gonna
call
be
you.
an issue.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Lois Nick, you're at 312 Mill Springs, and I want to thank you guys immensely for this. This is a great booklet. It's got so much information in it. They did a great job putting our annual mailer and our assessment together. One mailer instead of paying for two. That was a great idea. But I want to thank you for this. Half of the questions we get asked in the summer are answered in this book. So it's a good
Now we
thing.
just gotta figure out a way for people to read it.
Well, I've read mine twice. So I'm ahead of you.
Lois, thank you for
Thank you a
that.
lot.
The office staff has done a
They
fantastic
did a
job.
great job.
That thing has
yes.
been proofread
Yep.
a gazillion times.
Yeah, yeah.
There's probably still an error in it.
So I agree. That was a job well done, and Deborah, thank you.
Thank
for
you.
you
A few
guys.
hundred got out that the printer hiccup, so we have a few hundred.
But
It's got-
the most important, the
Not so pretty,
the
but
order and ogre in all three of us that we saved a mailing, which was
$1,500 bucks.
yeah, $1,500 or
Yeah.
something. So
Yep.
I just wondered why it hadn't been done before. It was a great idea.
That was a
We
great
didn't have
idea.
yogurt in charge.
He was absent that night.
All right. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Pam McKinley, 330 Patriots Landing. Is it possible to get on the signage for the clubhouse, off of Heritage Drive and leading to the clubhouse, is it possible to get bigger signs?
No kidding.
Or fluorescent signs or something that show up in the dark so people don't, like me, don't miss the streets?
Well, you want to know her answer, or you? A lot of things like that are gonna be looked at towards the end of the year. We'll just make a note of it. We'll just kind of, just kind of see where our money's at. And
It's really easy to miss the streets if you're not used to driving around here all that much.
Yeah, for sure.
I do want to announce that I do know that even though Phil wore his Purdue gig, I think he can be swung over to the IU side. He's even got his wife wearing red.
All right.
Anybody else?
I would like to say thank you to the Floyd Township Fire Department from the bottom of my heart. I experienced fire next to me, and I feel for the family. It's a mess, and I can only imagine what they're going through. It was too close for comfort for me, and it was real stressful. It was scary. I thought about, oh my gosh, I gotta clean up my clutter. I gotta get this stuff that's not used out of my garage. Things like old oil or things that could go right up through the roof, what have you. So it really opened my eyes to what can happen in just a split second. Getting woke up at 6 a.m. with fire shooting out of windows next door, it's really an eye-opener. So it's a good time. Garage sales are coming up. Clean up your clutter. Make sure your house is in good shape, and just do a once-through check every year to make sure that your electrical's okay. You're not over amping that little space heater over at the marina to keep warm. You're unplugging it at night, but it was really an eye-opener, and I really appreciate the attention that I got from the fire department, our fire department, because they were first there on scene, and I believe there was 5 or 6 other units that came in. So I'm really appreciative.
And we had Danville, Fillmore, Roachdale. I was running a fire truck. I don't know who all was there, but there were a lot of people.
There's a lot.
But we backed up into the driveway, and I think within 8 minutes of the call, we had 3 guys in the house with a hose. We did contain the house, the fire to the garage and a second-story bedroom. I think we did get a little bit of the attic, but along with what Deborah's saying, along with the clutter and houses and things like that, we have had just this weekend a house where we had a medical issue, a medical patient, and we never got in. Just with things stacked up in a house, even trying to get through a garage to get into a house. So that's something just to look at. Walk around your house and say, hey, if I were to have a heart attack or a stroke or something like that, can the paramedics and can the EMTs, can they get to me? And just something to look around your own house, kind of monitor that yourself. And same thing with fire. A house that has what we call a heavy fuel load, just a house that has a lot of extra stuff in it that burns. And that's just one of the things we have to put up with. We have to get the fire out and get everything cleaned out. So thank you to all the rest of the guys in the fire department. Thanks for the community support as well.
Stay safe out there, everybody. Nobody else has any questions? I will take a motion.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thanks, guys.
Is there anything?
You guys have anything for executive?
High five for your last
All
meeting
right,
or what?
we're done now.
Going home?
Still got that. Good meeting, guys.
Nice to see him.
Okay, you set the record for the number of seconds in one meeting.
That's what I was going for.
It was a team.